I wanted. Oh, you too, Maureen. I was waiting to skip, but that's okay.
I didn't even know if there's anybody sitting there. It's not here. Keep the hair on the back of my neck stands up when somebody.
The slowest 2 minutes in my week. If I'm driving somewhere in a hurry, 2 minutes goes by real quick.
I
Sitting
know.
there waiting.
Sitting in the Verizon store for the last 45 minutes on hold. Want to talk about waiting?
Brad?
Not even late.
Terry said you're gonna be late. You're like, your timing is impeccable. Got lucky. It's exactly 6 o'clock. Okay, it's 6 o'clock and I'm gonna call this meeting of the South Palmerston Select Board to order. Pledge of allegiance. Penny, would you like to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adjustments to the agenda, actually. I have three. One is we received an email from Ed Modell, or you did, and you forwarded to us. I'd like to add that to the agenda. We received an email from Candace Smith, which I'd like to add to the agenda. Those are, I guess, both on the correspondence. And I'd also like to add a possible executive session to discuss a legal matter. Do you have any adjustments? No. Sue?
No.
Harry?
No.
Okay. I'd like to take just a couple minutes before we start, a couple of announcements. I'd just like to remind everybody that we have a public information scheduled for May 30th at 6 p.m., which is a week from tonight, correct? Regarding the warrant for the 2023 annual town meeting, particularly focusing on 4 or 5 different questions, but we can really address any question. I also would like to report that the basketball court has finally been repaid. It looks great. And also the solar proposals were due Friday and we received one. And it's been referred to the facilities committee and hopefully they're going to get back to us after they review it and kick it around. So I just wanted to report those items. And I think everybody knows by now that Island Road and Village Road and a little portion of Rockledge Road have been repaved. I think it came out very nice. Hopefully it will be striped Thursday, the dark part, to the stop sign only. And that's it. Okay, public comment for items not on the agenda. Maureen?
I have a question. On YouTube, there was a video that the library facilities committee meeting and it's not there anymore. And I just wanted to know what happened to it.
I believe that was not a meeting of the library's facilities committee. It was a meeting of the nominating committee, was it not?
Okay.
It's been taken down because it was an executive session and it was put on YouTube inadvertently.
So can I ask another question?
Sure.
They went into that meeting if it was a executive session wrong. They didn't go into it at all. They just said, we're gonna have an executive meeting, and they shut the video off. They didn't take a vote. They didn't do anything procedurally. So does that still mean it's a private meeting if they didn't follow the rules?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I do. Basically, I think they did follow proper procedure, but I don't know that that invalidates it, but
Okay,
that's I think a legal question. And
And-
that's actually one of the reasons I adjusted the agenda. I guess that's something
I
that,
mean, I don't want to be a bitch about this,
Yeah.
but 20 people had already viewed it, and the information that they talked about is out in the community. And personally, as selectmen, you guys should go watch that, because there was a lot of stuff said on it about you and about other people in town. And as I said, at least, I think the last time I looked, there were 20 people that had already seen it. And I really personally think it's something, I mean, I know there's more people, I just can only speak for me. I know you guys really should go watch it, because what's going on, what they said in that meeting, it's gonna damage the library. So,
okay, thank you.
and your reputation.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else want a public comment for items not on the agenda?
I'd like to add to that. I intentionally did not view it, and I do not intend to view it until it becomes a legal issue. And the reason is because that we may end up. There could be legal ramifications as a result of it, and we should not have already been a party to it. So we need to be separate from that. So I intentionally did not view it when I heard about it.
Okay,
But I think. I'll jump a little bit ahead here. Candace Smith's letter is related to what you're bringing up, and it's my intention to consult, assuming Sue and Jeff agree, with our legal counsel, hopefully tonight.
great. Thank you.
Okay. Review and approval of prior. Was there any other public comment, right? Not on the agenda? Okay. Review and approval of prior meeting minutes from May 3rd, 9th, and 10th. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the meeting minutes from May 3rd, 9th, and 10th.
I'll second that.
Joint meeting with House Head.
Right.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor? We can just do a show of hands. Hey.
First time in a while.
All right, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. Brad, do you still need to get out of here quickly?
I can go after, whatever.
Well, I got a couple of other folks that are here that I think maybe we can dispose of fairly quickly, but I can.
That's fine.
I know you said, Terry said you had some place to go, but then I guess that changed. Or
Well, no, my son's just alone.
okay, well, why don't you go first? We'll take you. I'm gonna jump around a little here and try to accommodate people and get them out of here. So why don't you go first and introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Hi, those of you who don't know me, I'm Brad Boyd. I'm your school board representative. I'm in my second year serving on the school board for RSU 13. Last year I was voted to be vice chair of the school board, and I'm really enjoying the work with school board this year. For those of you who don't have a chance to see that riveting, meeting that we have on YouTube station. We have a great school board, representing, of course, Rockland, Thomaston, Cushing, and Owl's Head, which is our district. 6 schools. We have about 1,700 students in the district. So we're doing a lot of work this year. We're still trying to figure out all the different impacts from the pandemic and the virtual school that we had to go through for a number of months and time period. That's left a sort of a wave of catch up that we've had to do both academically and also social and emotionally. Some of our students really need to do a lot of catch up. That's something that you'll probably see nationally because of the pandemic. A lot of the students that we're seeing right now also are struggling, not just in our district, but of course across the country as well, with having anxiety, issues with depression. These are things that are national trends. A lot of things maybe started during the pandemic, but also continued to, or because of social media and the prevalence of isolation for a lot of the kids that we're streaming. So we're really focusing a lot on relationship building in the district. Our district also talks a lot about efficiencies and pathways, efficiencies being ways to really make students become more engaged and more really excited about learning. Pathways offering different ways for that to happen, and of course the relationship piece is absolutely key right now for our students all across the district that really think about ways that they can develop relationships not only with their peers but also with at least one caring adult in the district, and that's one of the goals that we set in every school. So I think our district is really doing some really great things along those areas. And we're constantly thinking about ways that we can provide, the support that our students need to be successful while they're students here and also beyond, while also keeping an eye on, the expenses and trying to make things, affordable for the tax base here. Along those lines, we are anticipating at this point, this is maybe 2 or 3 weeks old, so it may have changed slightly, but I did speak with our business manager about getting the most up-to-date information about what our budget is. We're looking at somewhere around the overall district budget of somewhere around a 3.8% increase. For the town, we're looking at something like a 3.13% increase for the town. This is still, I can understand to be a lot for some people in the town, and we're trying to keep those expenses as low as possible. But I did ask the business manager also just to give me a snapshot of some of the other increases of different districts and different areas around the mid-coast. And he gave me numbers of 5%, 7%, 8%, and one district that's going up 17.26%. So relative to other districts in this area, we're doing I think pretty well in terms of the increase. And then last year, we got a subsidy from the state and the district of just over $7 million, $7,900,000 from the state. This year, because of the windfall that you may have all heard about, we got an extra $850,000 in our district from the state. That was something that the state came up with different formulas for different districts, and then it was broken down according to the formula that they use to calculate that. So that South Thomaston's portion of that will be about $184,000 windfall that we'll get from the state that we didn't get in 2022. So that's sort of where we are in terms of the budget. And again, we're doing everything we can to really provide the best possible experience for our students, our children in this town and in the district that we can, while also again keeping the taxpayers and the amount that we're increasing as fiscally responsible as we possibly can. With that, I just wanted, do we have time to take any questions that people might have? Or?
Sure, let me turn to the board first, but before you take the question, could you just announce when the district budget meeting is and where and time?
Yeah.
And then the reference.
Make sure I get that right.
Yeah, well, okay, if you don't know, don't announce.
No. I believe it's going to be this Thursday at 6 p.m. at Oceanside High School. Yeah.
I think
You
it's,
agree?
I think I just got an email today. I think it's 25th, yeah.
Yeah, this Thursday
Yeah.
at 6 p.m. at Oceanside High School.
Okay, and then of course, the validation referendum will be on, what day, Terry, is it?
13.
Graduation day, always is. It's graduation day.
13th, and that you vote here in your local town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay, question 2, Jeff?
It appears that everybody's getting pre-K except for Thomaston. Is that, did I understand that?
That's a good question. We're trying to work with the town of Thomaston right now to find a space for it. We've allocated resources for pre-K. And we're looking at a space potentially in the town municipal area for pre-K. Currently the students from Thomaston don't have that opportunity to do pre-K, and we would like to expand that opportunity because the other Townsend District do offer pre-K opportunities. We feel that pre-K is one of the best investments that we can make for students. And if you look at any long-term longitudinal studies, you'll see that pre-K really does make a difference over the long term for the, for kids' success, not only in school, but even like 30 years down the road. So we're hoping that we can offer it in Thomaston as well.
Okay, so then the budget is supportive of the pre-K in Thomaston. It's just figuring out the logistics.
It's figuring out the space for it.
Space.
And Thomaston, yeah. And we're actually having a meeting tomorrow. John McDonald, the superintendent, is meeting with the board in Thomaston to talk about that tomorrow. We're hoping that we can find something that they have that we can use there.
Follow up on that, is pre-K mandatory or is it optional?
It's optional.
Optional, okay, that's what I thought. Walter, did you have a question?
I do too, actually.
The only-
First of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, Brad, thank you so very much for moving into town and then stepping up and stepping forward and doing the work you do. And I know that it's a time sink and it's challenging, but so far it seems you're up to the job. In the budget, which as a taxpayer I'm gratified by, are there major McDonald items or administration and professional educator items that have been deferred, delayed, or put aside in order to get to that 3.8 or 3.7% increase?
Yeah,
I should know this by having gone to those meetings, but it's a time sink.
Yeah, there's always more we could do. Obviously, we could have more staff that was focused on social emotional learning. We could have more staff that was focused on teacher support. We're trying to run, a pretty lean budget and trying to do, again, the best possible service within the budget that we have for the children that we serve. But yes, I mean, if you were to double our budget, I'm sure we could find a way to spend it. But obviously that wouldn't be responsible, and we're trying to, again, balance the right priorities.
Okay, second question. Every school and school district that I've been in contact with over the last few years, and I have 20 nieces and my mother-in-law has 8 grandchildren. Everywhere the girls are outperforming the boys at every level of education. And it's not a little bit, it's by a lot. And, I wouldn't want to arrest that momentum, but are you guys aware of that? Does it happen here? And are there things that you're wrestling with to close that gap? And I know that it's a multi-dimensional problem. It may be insoluble, but I just want to put that out there as something that hits me in the face.
Yeah. I haven't seen data specifically about that this year. Last year, I would say that the girls were on a whole, girls were doing a little bit better than boys. I wouldn't say it was eye-popping difference in our district. I can try to track down that data for you this year if you'd like that, but I haven't seen it recently.
Well, my question is whether you recognize this is something that needs to be addressed, and I don't know how to address it. I know that my own college alma mater, the young women outperform the boys in academics and sports and every other dimension, and it doesn't bother me. I think it's great. Wish I had daughters, but what's the matter with our male gender that they're not getting with the program?
Yeah, again, I haven't really seen that data for this year, and I don't know that we're really doing anything much different. I would say that we are trying to develop specific pathways so every student can succeed. Again, that goes back to the proficiencies, the pathways, and the relationships. Again, if you'd like to see more specific data on that, I can try to track that down for you. I don't know that it's really been an issue that we've identified or trying to deal with specifically in our district.
I guess that's good then. Thanks.
Thank you.
Keep it going.
Thanks.
Anybody else have questions in the audience? Good chance.
Yeah. I do have a card now, but Terry knows where to find me.
Okay,
Anything else? I'll stay for a few more minutes.
I think that's it then.
Thank you.
Okay, continuing, jumping around, I'm gonna move to consideration of approval of catering application from On the Rock Bartending Services for the July 4th event to be held at Saltwater Field Event Center. And before we get into the specifics on this, I as chair just want to take the liberty of commenting a little bit. We, prior to 2 weeks ago or a month ago, we always required catering requests, and we didn't get many to come to the board. Under state law, we can delegate that to a town employee, and at the request of Saltwater Fields or On the Rocks, I'm not sure who, we agreed to transfer that authority to Terry, and Terry actually agreed to take that authority on. I'm not sure I would have if I was in the seat, but she did, because you know if something happens, everybody sues everybody, and guess whose name's on the form. But she agreed. Then there were 2 subsequent applications that came in from you folks that she approved immediately, as I understand it. A 3rd one came in, the one we're going to consider tonight. And she was uncomfortable approving that because of complaints that were received last year regarding the July 4th event. And she informed you folks that she was going to kick it to us, which is in the policy that we actually haven't even approved yet. We're going to do it tonight. And I guess you got a phone call from somebody representing your organization. Then she felt a little abused. And I personally was hesitant to go that route because that's exactly one of the things I wanted to protect Terry from, being stuck in the middle on this. So I am of a mind to almost go back the other way. And certainly if it happens again, I'm definitely going to propose that. So I don't know who did what, who said what, and it doesn't matter, but I just want to let you know where I'm coming from. I don't know if the other board members share my feeling,
No, I
but
agree.
I mean, if she makes a decision that she's uncomfortable, she has the right to kick it to us. And I don't think that should be questioned.
And the implication was that we're treating either the venue or the
Event.
catering company different and special and singling them out. You're the only ones that are applying. So we're not treating you any differently, and we're not singling you out. There's been one other company that has, unless Terry wants to correct me on this, in the last 2 years. So it isn't that anybody's being singled out. You're the only one. So I think we've treated both the venue and the bartending company pretty even-handedly, and it was pretty obvious on what our concerns were and what we needed. And my concern with this one is that last year was a mess. And it may not have all been because of the new venue, but it's never been like that before. I mean, there were cars up and down both sides of 131 and all day long, not just in the evening that it has been in the past. And people going to their cars on 131, people reporting people going to their cars in an obviously inebriated condition. So
Which doesn't mean that it happened there.
That's right.
I mean, they could have been inebriated and you shut them off when they got there. We don't know that, but.
Right. So it is, I think it's important that we hear this particular, and it gives an opportunity. The law on this originally required a public hearing for every one of these. Later on, they decided, okay, we'll allow the town to do it without having a public hearing, but you do have to have a process for it. So our objective has been trying to walk that line between the public's right to know what's going on and to weigh in if they want to, and trying to expedite the business concerns that are appropriate there.
But before we turn to you, just real quickly, do you have any
There also
comments on-
seemed to be
on the
some,
process?
I mean, in the notes and stuff that originally it was for a wedding and then. But then somebody saw that it wasn't for a wedding, so you put in a new application, so that seems a little dishonest.
Or
At
cut and
first,
paste?
yeah, well,
I only talked to Terry.
Well, either-
That was my mistake.
But either way.
Thanks for doing that.
Okay.
Cut and paste thing that
yeah,
usually when you're doing an application, you have the dates and all I do is change the dates.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm glad she caught that and I.
So-
and I
so-
thanked her.
is it On the Rocks that's gonna be doing it?
On the rocks, doing that is the catering.
Okay, because then it said that at some point that they weren't gonna be doing it, that it was somebody else, but it is On the Rocks.
Well, that's what the application's for,
Right.
Okay,
but I have,
and is there,
go ahead.
is there anything that, as a town or who would do it that they could be required to post no parking on the road?
It's a state rule.
Yeah, it's a state road, I don't know, I mean,
Because, I mean, parking on both sides is not
I've been here
safe.
30-something odd years living in, and before that, that's always been in the afternoon, just before dusk. I have a hard time, I mean, now we usually do is, don't park, we make sure we're home at night on the 4th of July because everyone fills the road on both sides. And it's that way until the fireworks end, and it's that way for an hour or so afterwards, and trying to leave and get out of it. It's always been that pattern.
but there's no alcohol being served.
Right,
I mean, people may have driving wrong.
Right, trust me, there has been, cause I clean up that road.
Yeah.
And there's beer, there's fireworks, there's all kinds of stuff that we pick up and get home.
Well, I have just two technical questions before we get into this. First of all, it's checked off on page 2 of 5 that we're a city. That's not correct. We're a town. Says the undersigned being, see that?
Correct.
So, Terry, I don't know if you can just initial that or change that or whatever before it goes to the state. but-
Usually just white it out.
Okay. And the other thing, the other problem I have is it says on the application, number of persons attending 200 plus. I mean, I think that's a little wide open. I mean, that could be 10,000. You know, and your capacity permit is from the fire marshal is 299. I understand that's for the building.
Right.
But if it starts pouring rain or whatever, and there's 500 people there. So I guess I'd like a little better handle on how many people are we talking about.
I would love to address everyone about the event. My name is Tina Hendricks. I am the co-owner of Saltwater Fields Wedding and Event Bar. And because there are so many people who visit that strip of road on the 4th of July, we decided that, well, this must be a nice place to see Thomaston's fireworks. We decided to host a public event so that people could come down and put their chairs and blankets on our field to see those fireworks. And we also wanted to offer food, so the event is called Food Trucks and Fireworks. We did not know it would be as successful that it was. So we've learned a lot, and we do keep pretty tight reins on our events. I realize that Terry signs off on approving the catering, but we require insurance from everyone who is on our property. So if there was someone being sued, it would happen to me or, someone providing vending services on our property.
Well, they could sue everybody.
They could sue
Okay, let's face it.
everyone is insured. So we are very careful about that, and we have already some plans in place to make this 4th of July event more seamless, so that you don't see cars on that great
adjacent to our driveway. We want people to be able to see when they leave, so if there's cars right there, which have nothing to do with our event, it might be people watching. We already have ordered the no parking signs. But if the town feels that there's more that needs to be done for 131 there near us, we'd be happy to hear the recommendations and abide by whatever you say. We do keep a strict count of people inside the building, so we wouldn't allow it to go over 299. The building was empty for this event because everyone was outside. The weather was perfect. If the weather looks to be bad, we may cancel the event. It was not something that we're going to risk. You know, a downpour or a thunder shower happening unless it's totally surprise and unknown. And have everyone run inside. So we do plan to have more parking attendants. We do plan to be a little more strict about the people parking on the road near our driveway. But we can't control anything beyond that on the main road. I don't feel like that would be our responsibility. And what else do I want to express to you? That it was very popular. Everyone loved it. You know, a lot of people came up to us and said, oh, thank you for doing this. It's such a nice public event for the community and best 4th of July ever. You know, we want to do this every year. Wonderful family tradition. The bar service is very careful about not over serving. If they see someone who looks to be intoxicated, they don't continue to serve them. So if someone was inebriated out by their car on 131, it was not because of this crew. They are very careful about that.
Well, I take issue with that. I understand the ambulance had to come for actually transport an individual.
That was a different bartending company.
Pardon?
It was a different bartending company.
So On the Rocks didn't do this last year?
Oh, the ambulance didn't come to the fireworks.
That's not my understanding, but talking to the people, talking to the people who went there,
No,
Okay.
there was no ambulance there on the fireworks.
then they must.
That's my concern, is that there is a lot of, maybe complaints that don't.
Well, that's something we can look up. They keep very good records.
So, I mean, if there have been police reports or whatnot, we have not been informed of them. I don't know that people received OUIs leaving our facility. We are not informed of those either.
Well, we had several complaints here. Correct.
Right, so what my concern is the merit of those complaints. My opinion of someone's behavior, that they're inebriated may not be that they are inebriated.
True.
Maybe they are just having a lot of fun or hyped up on caffeine. So while we are very careful and we do expect our guests to behave in a way that would reflect well on us, we do speak to people when we need to speak to them. We do try very hard. We were very shocked by the amount of people who came because it was very, very popular and we did not know. We thought maybe 50 people would come, but it was a popular event. People came, it was a free event, no charge. And we would love to continue to do it, but we will have a better handle on the parking. And we actually put a sign up at the end of our road once we were full and said, sorry, we're full, we can't accept anymore. So what else I can do beyond that? I'd be happy to try anything you suggest.
Comments?
Just out of curiosity, how many, in your parking lot, how many cars can you put in there?
So talking to you guys on Thursday to try to expand my parking lot. So if people park well, we can get about 65 cars in there currently. If they park poorly, we can get about 40 cars. So we need attendants to help people park tight and close, and we can get them.
So it seems to me from that, we could calculate a maximum number of people. We don't have to leave this at 200 plus.
Oh,
Yeah, that was probably.
I mean, that to me is just, that tells me nothing.
no, I would say there was definitely a cap. I mean, you know, so we use our parking lot, and then if the weather is dry, we have a strip of land that people can park on without getting stuck. That keeps them off the road, so 2 cars could still pass, so it would be safe. And we did do that last year. We were able to keep the road free so that 2 emergency vehicles could pass should that be required. And so with that in mind, we could potentially get about 100 cars. So say 100 cars, 4 people per car. I mean, it could max out at maybe 400 people.
Well, and I'd feel better having that in there.
That number.
That would be the max that
Just
you
to
would
know what
allow.
the max would
Right,
be.
yeah, and at that point, you would cut it off. I mean, bars do that all the time. I mean, they have a capacity and they
Right.
shut you off and you've got to wait till 2 people come out before 2 people can come in. I mean, at least that's what it used to be. I wouldn't know now.
Right, so we could definitely
Well, they
that.
still do, because they have maximums they can have too.
Fire will full, and once the parking lot is full, we can accept people. And that's absolutely fine by me.
Okay, so we have a friendly agreement to change that to less than 400?
Yep.
Okay,
That sounds great.
Sue, you got any questions? or
No, I
comments?
think if we do that and then you do have the parking attendants or somebody up by the road so that it's not all crowded in there. And people can see when they can come out.
Right,
I think,
right. We have cones on order and signs on order to help guide the self-parkers to do it appropriately. Because some people don't listen to what we say, no matter
Sure.
how mean we say it.
So, David, are you there? David Elwell? I guess he's not.
he's eating dinner.
Wanted to speak
I
up
just
real
wanted
quick
to-
Because On the Rocks has no say over the event itself. They're basically there to provide a service for me, which is food and beverage service. It's not just alcohol. It's all kinds of beverages for kids, juice boxes, waters. I think they only had a couple different choices last year for alcohol. It was a rum punch and maybe some beer.
Abuse.
Yes, it was very limited menu. It wasn't an open bar with a full stocked amount of alcohol, and they were basically there working for me at the event host.
You said, lots of rolls and chips.
Mhm.
Yeah, I understand that, but what we're being asked to sign off on is on the rocks, not the
Right,
event.
correct.
So,
Okay,
okay, I mean, that's not within our purview to approve
Okay.
that.
That's correct.
And then of course it has to go to the state too. So I was hoping David as the fire chief, because you had made a statement that the road was always passable. I had heard, again, I can't remember who, but that at times it wasn't. But I was curious if the fire chief had similar concerns, but I can't seem to get them.
it may have been blocked by moving vehicles or people turning around, but
Yeah.
there was never anyone parked in the stone driveway. They were always on the grass.
Okay, I guess the other question is, do we feel the need to hold a public hearing on this?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm agreeable to that. So is there a motion to approve with the 2 changes to the applications that we talked about?
I would move that we approve with the 2 changes.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Any comments from anybody?
I'd like to apologize to Terry for receiving or whatever happened.
No, you apologize. You didn't
Well,
make the call.
I'm sorry because
I would apologize as well, because we made the phone call. I didn't mean anything personally by it.
Thank you.
Meant no disrespect. I was just a little confused what was going on. And that was that. But
And I
appreciate
might-
everything that you know.
I might have fired Daniel up a little bit because I said, well, I would like to be able to speak on our behalf. If there were concerns about the event itself.
Yeah, well, she's just an employee and she doesn't need to have that hassle, so.
Right, I agree.
Okay.
He doesn't think your job.
Oh,
And just to be clear, the policy that we're probably going to vote on later on today, since you are, if not the only, you're very close to the only one that this policy even applies to. And so we are delegating to Terry, but again, if there's any complaints or any issues or any requests from the public, then she will send it to us for approval. That shouldn't, I mean, that's the way we were doing it, the way we've done it for the last 2 years anyway, year and a half. So all that means is that at some point she makes a decision, I can sign this or I need to pass this up. So it only changes, it only improves the process, by letting her do it when she feels it's appropriate.
Which could just be that she's uncomfortable with something on the application. It doesn't even have to be that there were complaints. So it's something on there that she's uncomfortable signing
Yeah, I
off.
mean, if somebody came in and
Herself.
said, we're gonna have an event with 10,000 people.
Right.
She might say,
Or
I'm
even,
not signing that.
right,
Not
right.
you guys, yeah.
yeah. So she always has that prerogative to do that.
And just to add to it, if you use a different caterer, then the first time that caterer, it gets approved by the board as opposed to.
Okay, yeah, we were trying to accommodate. So, okay, we have a motion for the discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. So let's take up our order. Request from Krista Tripp to use the town landing. So just to set the background here, I may not have the language right, but Krista and Dimitri have been using the ramp and the town landing to operate part or some of their oyster business, and we received a complaint about that. And so Terry, as the code officer, basically said you can't operate business or even part of a business from here without approval of the select board, according to the ordinance, and we, Krista and Dimitri, have requested that we allow them to do that. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what and we also have some support letters, and we have one letter in opposition.
Okay.
You want to just tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what you're looking for, and
Yeah. So my name is Krista Tripp. I'm owner of Aphrodite Oysters. I have been using the public landing to store oysters in the months of usually just April. But we've got a little behind this year, so we've been there for a little bit longer than expected, but previously we've had no problem using that space in the last 6 years that we've been in business. We've had no trouble with anyone that uses the public landing because we're always out of the way. And if we were in anyone's way, then we immediately move out of the way. We ask them if there's anything, that we can do to, help them. And, we've always been very helpful. And so the complaint came to a surprise for me. Because I see many people use the public landing there to offload crabs, to feed up the boats, to fuel up their boats. We all of us fishermen seem to use that space pretty well. Except for one person who just has a really hard time sharing his space, and he's been using that river for a very long time, and he hasn't had to work around anybody else. So I'm pretty sure that that's where that came from. Other than some other family politics type stuff that has happened. Other than that, but I'm pretty sure that the complaint is just stemming from some family issues. So well, we brought these support letters. I think Terry has all of them, and we have
she gave us copies.
Okay, good, okay. I wasn't sure if you got them or not, but yeah, we have a float being built. We will be using the float from June until December. That's going in this June. The issue is that we're just not sure that the float is going to be in the water every single spring. at the same time, because it really depends on the weather, and it also depends on, people who are setting the mornings and dragging load and what their work schedule is like. So it's really hard to determine exactly when the float's gonna be in the water every single spring for us to work on. And we hate to lose that space. So my request is that, we're allowed to use that space as long as we stay out of everyone's way. And,
Do you have a time limit on that? I mean, obviously you can use it for launching and hauling out, and I mean, that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
I think the issue is, and I actually bumped into you down there several times when I was fixing the ladder, and I have to admit, you were very cooperative. The truck was in the way and you moved it immediately, so I could go fix it and blah, blah, blah. But I think the issue is the longevity that you're on the wharf or on the ramp, even. So in terms of, it's not like you're putting a boat in or taking it out and it's over with. It's, you're there for several hours and there's employees there, and I think that was the issue, but. So are we talking like, but June 1st, you'll be done with it, or?
yes, we're talking June 1st every single year. I can guarantee we'll be out of there, and, there's not a lot of people there in the spring. June is when people start really using the ramp, so we'll definitely be out of there from June 1st every year.
From when to June 1st, December to June 1st?
Yeah, we'll be out of there completely.
But I mean, when will you start using it?
April to May, is when we.
So you don't do anything from December to April?
No, we're not there at all.
So we're just talking April and May.
Yeah, just only
Okay.
April and May is when we're kind of using a little tiny space on the big, very long.
I think we need to have
platform
definite dates.
Yeah. I would too, and I think this, if we grant this, I think it needs to be in writing, and I think it needs to be revocable at any moment without appeal. I mean, I certainly don't want to vest any rights in that property, and that's certainly not your intent, I'm sure.
No, I think it's important that we support people who are on the working waterfront, and, we all live here, and it's important that we keep the working waterfront alive, and everyone who goes fishing does use that space, and, we've all been able to work together very well for a very long time. I don't see why things should change now.
You have something?
Well, I'm here to support them. I've seen a select group use that dog pretty consistently, and kind of glad to see them using it. They do keep things neat, and they get out of the way, and I don't know if we should put such a strict time limit on them, but they are building the float, they are gonna be using it as much as they can. But I think that they should be, I won't say left alone, but they have every right to be using that. There's a lot of people running a business out of that. If you think about it that way, there's all these fishermen running traps across there and stuff. It's the only shore access this town has, which is another issue.
Well,
What we talked about in the past.
with the exception of Pleasant Beach.
That is,
I know. Well, I agree with you that a lot of people are running business out of there, but I think it's the length of time that it ties it up. But on the other hand, I also agree that they move when someone asks.
and they start early,
Yeah,
so and she's right, nobody's using it.
but
So it's starting to run into it a little bit now, but
yeah, I mean, like this Thursday, we're gonna put the float over, hopefully. I mean, we traditionally put it over just before Memorial Day,
right,
and so they'll be there
yeah.
for 3 or 4 hours trying to get the float in, so. Assuming the weather's good Thursday, by the way. But I think we need dates, but I think we're asking Krista, what are the appropriate dates? We weren't establishing those.
Well, it kind of sounded that way, that's why I kind of wanted to interject there.
Well, I
Well, we
felt,
just
It
don't-
needs to be lenient to some degree.
We just don't want it to be like 6 months out of every year that you can do your personal business on this
Right.
piece of property. That there are certain months that you need to do it because you can't get your float in. But then, what happens if then 1 month it's not ready until July because it needs to have work done on it, and nobody can do it. You don't want to have a busy season with that there.
Did you have a
I
question?
have a question and maybe a comment. Just in the spirit of fairness. So she has a cumulative amount of time that she spends on this dock. I know nothing about fishing, but I assume that there are other people who spend time on this dock, that if you accumulate their time, probably max, it goes over the amount she spends, it sounds like. If people are there every day, multiple times a day, coming in and out, you accumulate that amount of time. How is what she's doing different than that?
Well, people use it very different. Some people just launch a boat and take it up.
Right.
Right, but the.
Some people-
Come in,
Some people have left traps there overnight and we chased them away after a couple of days and said, you can't leave your traps here. I mean,
so someone who uses it routinely, the same amount of cumulative time she does would need this same type of permission.
Right. There's a couple things. I mean, we do have a pretty good policy written, an ordinance for the use of it. And it says that you can't leave equipment, bait, or gear any longer than is necessary to promptly load or unload without permission from the CEO. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. You also cannot do any kind of commercial operations without permission from the CEO. And that's an egg that we haven't broken, and I would be reluctant to approve commercial operations. out of it.
All the lobstermen or commercial operations?
That's different.
Why?
whoa.
No, because they're moving their equipment to and from the
Yeah.
boats. They're not keeping it in one place. And so that's the question I have. Are you having customers come to you
No.
there? Okay,
So
so,
we have people that come down and chat to us, on a daily basis, because they're really interested in what we're doing, and, there's people that know that we're there, and they just like to come down.
so what is it exactly you're using it for?
We're sorting through oysters that have been hibernating for the winter underwater. So we're bringing them up. And
What would be your alternative if we said no? What would you do if we said, no, you can't use the wharf for that purpose?
it would just make our life really difficult, because we have, 3 or 4 people working out of a 17-foot skiff. And there's not a lot of space to work efficiently.
So
I mean, the springtime is when the time when we do, use for a couple, 3 hours. Sorry, my name is Dimitri. I'm a husband. I work on the Western Farm now. Why would, started using a little bit of a public landing because of the weather, first of all, because it's springtime, it's really hard with the storms and the wind, and, we all know that winter doesn't go until like June. So that's why we started using it a bit, maybe 5% of the landing, and honestly, and if you were to do it it's just unsafe to do it, especially if there's more than 2 people on a skiff, and instead of different skiff, it's just unsafe to do it.
Well, I'll give you the alternative that one of your competitors did. They just bought a piece of property on the Gig River, and that's where they do that.
I would love to do.
Yeah, I've actually inquired about some properties that there's limited properties there on the.
We're too tiny of a fish to be able to afford it to begin with, I would love to do that. I would love to at least, a shore front and do it on the latitude then.
But, we're very limited right now, and as we grow, we do plan to, kind of expand our business and be able to do a little bit more.
And that's why she's using, 30% of her income from last year towards the building a float that we can set in and just like get away from everybody else and not be even in anybody's way. When the time when people actually do use the landing comes, and it's actually probably been middle of the month and half days when actually I see at least one person there a day. And most spring, it's desolate, there's nobody there.
Are you there almost every day?
Almost every day.
For how long?
We work around the tide, so some days we're there like Well, usually for a maximum of 6 hours.
And your lease area is right off the wharf, right? In the gate.
The little.
We have
Yeah, the little,
right there. Yeah,
Okay, so it's very convenient for you, obviously, because
Right there.
right there.
Right.
right there, and we run back right to our seed lines there.
Mm.
So it's very.
And the biggest user of the landing for these past probably 25 years has been the person who actually complained about us. So he's, you know, I mean, he uploaded yesterday, he's cashed the truck that waited for him, parked right on top of the dock, waited for him for 25 minutes, because I was recording at the same time. He waited for him for half an hour, Barry comes in, he uploads for another 20 minutes, so that's, you know, and over an hour of him doing, and he was totally blocking the whole thing, he was blocking whoever wants to go fishing in the water, those people can't do anything, because he's right here. And he's done it for over 20 years, so I mean, if you think about it, it's played today. You know, what if you multiply it, if you add all the time that you actually use it as your private dock and nobody said anything, your trash being there for 2 days, I don't know what it is. I mean, the other day he brought so much nasty bait, I mean, this fly's been there for like a week. And, you know, if you go, John, to the landing right now, there's the white things of salt on it, and guess whose bait that was on it? I mean, the common courtesy to not drill the holes in your freaking tubs, so that people don't have to smell that when they come to town landing. And I can go on about it, but it's like, one person that has a private issue. And he's just miserable, you know? And I mean, I wanna do what's best for everybody. I mean, I think if anything, people come to this town because we have something like lobster shack, you know? They wanna watch me, sort of, and they're so amused and they come and ask me questions. I always answer questions, like, there's dudes that have come and they're like, geez, I don't even know how to set what to do with my mooring or something. I showed him the knots, I showed him the ropes, I dragged his mooring out because he's got a house on the other side. He knew nothing about it, you know, I helped the guy just because I can. And if we had more people that actually are willing to work with everybody, right? I'm not saying I'm a saint or, you know, it's just what I would do if, and I would wish that somebody does the same thing for me. I mean,
Okay. So, I'm certainly willing to, at least for this year, allow them to continue operating to June 1st. And we can revisit this again on an annual basis.
Well, I think our policy authorizes the CEO.
I thought it required us to do that.
Commercial requires a select board approval.
Well, I thought we were here.
So if you do it for this year to June 1st, at what point would you revisit?
I think prior to using it again next year.
Okay, so
I
like
think
probably
Come
December.
back in December and look at it again next year, and you know, circumstances will have changed, and I don't want to grant permission for the next 40 years,
No.
I mean, so. Circumstances may change and.
Do you think you would be ready by June 1st?
We should be ready by June 1st, yes.
Well, you want to make it June 8th, or I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
wedded
June
to.
8th should be good. We're just about done sorting our
Yeah,
bags.
But it is gonna get busier.
Yeah,
I
it is,
mean,
and we are out of there when it gets busy, because we don't like being in people's way, you know?
Yeah, and I'm sure every time you gotta move, it's not very efficient for your business.
Right, it's a hassle for us, for sure, so, yeah.
But I believe Jeff, that says,
Okay. Set up a commercial fundraiser, similar type operation at the landing without written permission.
I mean, it's a question of where this falls too.
Yeah. And
I'm perfectly willing to leave it up to the discretion of the CEO as well. But I just thought
But
maybe it
that
would
puts a
help
lot
her.
on her too.
Huh?
That puts a lot.
I
on
know,
her.
and I thought it might
don't-
help her if.
I don't want to do that.
Okay, I'm with you. But.
Well,
Yeah.
the only reason, see, I personally am drawing a line. I don't see her operation as a commercial operation. I see a commercial operation as dealing with the public. The public comes in and tries to buy or sell something. I see this
Depends on how you
as
define it.
keeping the equipment, keeping her equipment on the pier longer than normal. But you're right, you could easily define it as commercial operation.
Well, I guess.
But it's not really keeping her equipment there. It's doing
It's doing-
it's doing the
it's
operation.
processing.
Doing
It's
doing the
processing.
operations of the
processing.
business,
Yeah,
which
and
is
it's
different.
not like the traditional use of a wharf of launching a
Right.
boat or
I agree with that.
loading equipment on and then taking off. I think there is a difference.
I agree that there's a difference. In my mind, though, I was thinking that the CEO could approve it, but it's not a sorted.
I just think that the CEO has so many other things
Yep,
that
I don't disagree.
I think that, it's just one more thing that they shouldn't have to deal with.
Yeah, and then when the complainant complains, she can send them to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Walter, did you have a hand up?
I do.
Sorry, I don't notice that little hand.
Yeah.
He's all-
I follow the Zoom protocol.
I don't.
I've spent a lot of time trying to train people on that. I started out saying you should bend over backwards for Krista and anybody else that is pursuing aquaculture and alternatives to making a living from the threat that lobsters are under. But I won't phrase my request as bending over backwards. What I would encourage, not tonight, but wrestle with this, is that the Board of Selectmen make public their support for our fishing industry pursuing kelp harvesting and oystering. And by the way, Krista's Aphrodites are delicious. And she didn't pay me to make that statement. Because it is the next step or the survival steps for this industry and this way of life that has been an attractive for me moving here 17 years ago into a fishing village. Making statements of support of this, I think, would stand in good stead, and I would encourage every public official to stand behind that within the constraints of our ordinances and law, etc. I'm supportive of her application now, but more importantly, for support of this kind of entrepreneurial venture in the future. Because the fact is that it's entrepreneurial, but for some people, it's survival.
Well, thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion that we allow Krista and Dimitri to continue to use the wharf in a manner similar to that they have been using it until June 8th.
I'll second that.
And then we'll have to revisit. this
And then come
next
before us next December or February or whenever.
So maybe start early December.
And we'll see
You know.
what's happening, what's changed and what reaction we get. And
Okay.
I mean, another way we could have gone about this, we could have advertised this better and had a public hearing and saw what was happening, but and maybe that's what we'll decide to do next winter.
Well,
I
even
can't-
so, I think that you're gonna find that, we're gonna get the same amount of support, because, it's
Yeah.
not just us that deals with this, individual. It's everybody.
But we can't make it about the individual.
I
So if,
But there's.
I understand, it feels that way to you because you feel like it's a personal thing and maybe it is, but we have to think about everybody in the town and how they use it. And if somebody else starts up an entrepreneurial, whatever, kelp farm or oysters, and they want to start doing the same thing, we have to have a process that we can say that we're going to follow.
Mhm.
And so that's part of it too, in my mind anyway. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
understand.
Okay,
Yeah,
further
that-
just.
Yeah, the only thing I've got to say is I am very protective of the wharf. I don't think it should be used for people to hawk their wares, basically. It's a working wharf. And my fear is if we by breaking the commercial approval, everybody thinks that it's fair game. And I just want to be, I am supportive of this request. Because in my mind, it's not hawking your wares, it's doing your waterfront business.
We've done that for 6
Yeah.
years with no issues.
Correct.
whatsoever.
And there's always tensions like this. I mean, people love farmers markets and they set up on public property, but if I'm the guy across the street running the little grocery store, paying taxes on my building, it's like, well, how come these people get to sell
And yeah,
on public
Well-
property, paying no taxes?
Correct.
And they're competing with me, taking business away from me, and I'm paying taxes.
right.
It's hard to balance those things,
Yeah.
so. But anyways, further discussion. All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, why don't we jump back up to the agenda? Feels like it's.
Still.
SOPs, I see Amy is not here and David is not here. So, I just got that out yesterday, so why don't we table this again?
Yeah, I'll move that we
Okay.
table it
Yeah,
to the next meeting, not the 30th, the first meeting in June.
which is the sixth. I'm still not happy with these. I think they're very verbose and it feels like they've been pieced together over 15 or 20 years from different places and things don't seem to be in the right place. Formatting is odd, and that's not a criticism of Amy at all. It's just
Right.
They don't read easily as a handbook for SOPs. And I mean, I've seen a lot of SOPs and they just don't read easily for that. I mean, I think if you want something you quickly go to, and
Do you think a lot of it could be taken out?
I do. I did a word count. I've already taken out like 700 words.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say thank you very much for your time and your consideration. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
And I think we could take out another 400 or 500. I mean, there's just redundancies, like it's important to remember. Well, I'm not sure you need that language, It should be, you shall do this. It's not important to remember this. It's so, okay, so a further discussion, well, actually, a motion to table is not open to discussion. All those in favor of tabling? Thank you. Execute certified ratio form. This has to be to the state by June 1st, correct, Terry?
Yeah.
And this basically says that our valuation will be at 100% of the state valuation, and we're gonna do a partial revaluation, increasing the valuation on every parcel 15%. Which means everything else being equal, which it won't be, but everything else being equal, everybody's taxes stays the same because everybody went up 15%.
And some people go down.
Yeah, because they get the full homestead reduction, right? So, Jeff, I know you're into this quite a bit. Do you have any questions or comments or?
Nope, and so he did do the 15%.
He's
Still
doing it.
working on
Yeah.
it.
After he did the 25.
Okay, so I would move that we execute the certification.
I'll second that.
Okay, so this says we have 485 homesteads
Mhm.
worth $12 million in exemption. And he uses last year's mill rate because we don't have a mill rate for 23. Just one quick question. You were gonna quickly glance over the homesteads. Did you ever get a chance to do that?
No.
Okay, because we found 2 or 3 years ago that it had gotten a little stale and some people that had moved to Florida were still
We're
getting,
still
and
on.
had a summer home were getting,
Oh,
not a lot, but,
Time to do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no good way to,
There's a report I can print and I'll list everybody, all the homesteads and I
right,
just go through.
but there's no good way to validate it. I mean, and when they enacted the law, it's,
Once you do it, you're done.
yeah, once you get on the homestead, you're there forever until someone either the assessor takes you off or someone realizes you,
How do you find out that they've changed their residency?
well, that's the problem. I mean, you know, some people come in and tell you, some people, because you get a voter card.
Sometimes like Florida always calls and says, so-and-so's applied for a homestead here, have you removed them from Maine? And they won't allow them to get it in Florida until they get verification that they're not getting it in
Good
Maine.
point.
I mean, we've all heard scandals about
Oh, yeah.
people with very big rich homes who have had 2 homestead exemptions.
Yeah.
We won't go into that, but it's difficult to police it, so. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Can I add one?
Oh.
thing? Sorry. I thought I said it to Kevin, but I may not have, but I was watching the town, Rockland's, one of their meetings, and their assessor was recommending that they do a full reeval, which they have finally approved. But he said, we have only gotten a couple of companies that are interested in doing the revow because we use Vision and not Trio.
Oh, your offices, what?
Right,
Yeah.
And he says, now the good thing is that Vision is very easy to manipulate, so I can make the Band-Aid portion of it. If we wanted to just increase everybody by a certain percentage, I can do that easily in Vision, and I can't do it so easily in Trio, which is why I recommend we keep Vision. So that struck me as contrary to what Kevin had said.
I think what he's saying, if you have Vision, you have the short maintenance real estate package. And Kevin said that is really hard you have to go into each account to do the factoring. If you have the full real estate assessing package with Trio, you have the full package and you have the short maintenance, and it's easier to do that. He said it's just a button. But if you have Vision and Trio, it is harder in Trio because you don't have that big, they don't talk to each other.
Right. Well, they apparently Rockland doesn't use Trio at all. They
No,
use
they
strictly,
use Munis, I think.
and he said Vision is what that's. And so there are only 2 companies, Vision and some other company that even bid.
Vision support is horrible.
Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to do that out there.
I didn't even know Munis was so different. What is the banging there?
There's another company, it's really expensive, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, must be a fire.
Yeah.
But Kevin did say, if and when we ever do a reval, that would be the time to switch from Vision to Trio. The whole package, because you would be entering numbers anyway.
Right, and the reason we went with the Vision system is because Vision actually did the rebound.
Right.
And they would only do it, and they were considerably cheaper, I think, if I remember right.
Yes.
But their presentation was good, but they only did it using their system. In a way, they sort of.
Did we even have Trio then? I mean, that
Yeah,
was.
I think
did.
we did, I'm not sure.
And as I understood it, this whole time, I thought we've been just using Vision just for the online access to the properties, and that we weren't using Vision for our taxes at all. That we were using
We
Trio,
don't use Vision for our tax bills.
but we use Vision to calculate our tax bills.
Yeah.
Right. See, and I thought all we were doing was using it for online access to the information. Which is what I thought they had told us when they left us with the package, that as long as the system keeps working, you can have access. So that allowed real estate agents to go directly to it, because they can't do that through Trio. Apparently.
Well, actually,
I think they can now, because in St. George, they have the full package, and
Yeah.
people could go online.
in Trio.
Access there.
I mean, Trio started out, it was literally 3 guys who put together an old load of spreadsheet. And for valuation, generated tax bills off it. I mean, I remember that in 1991 or something. They've come a long way from there, but not, and they've been bought 3 or 4 times. But anyways, okay. All right, discussion regarding ARPA funds, couple of things on this, the AEDs, we're not gonna get the grant on, so you're gonna go ahead and purchase those with these funds.
Yes.
The generator, Penny tells me she thought was finished today, so we should be getting a bill. We've cut the check for the hazardous waste recovery program, correct?
Yes.
The COVID sick pay, skip by that for a minute. The automatic lift in the ambulance, we get a bill for that yet?
I got it.
And is it within the budget?
Well,
No,
no,
Huh?
no.
no,
But I went back to the minutes and I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. My recollection was that 7,000 was gonna come out of ARPA. And 7,000 was gonna come out of the ambulance
Donation?
savings, the donations, whatever. they
Yeah,
call it.
yeah.
Well, we need a little bit more than that.
Huh?
We need a little bit more than that.
The way you're saying it, it sounds like we need a lot more than
No,
that.
no,
No.
like $1,500.
Oh, well, that's significant.
yeah,
So I didn't know if it was coming out of. I meant to email you this.
Wow.
I don't know what stage. I didn't know if it would just come out of annual donations or it would split it or.
Well, let's put that aside for a second, and then we have that earmark for the tennis, and that's a long way up. The reason I wanted to bring this up, to be perfectly blunt, is I think the debt ceiling limit debate going on in Washington potentially could claw back any unspent money,
yeah, I've heard one.
and I think we should spend. And the only way I can think to do it is to, well, we're gonna have a big paving bill come in, pay whatever we have left after this with that, with the understanding that whatever that amount is surplus that we could use for other projects that come up for this,
The paving money would be surplus
because we wouldn't pay it out of,
of paving.
yeah, we'd have then, if, you know, sort of in our minds. If we'd say, okay, we paid 20 grand towards the paving, so now we got 20 grand when little things like LEDs or generators or whatever comes up that, you know, we generated that extra surplus by applying that ARP money there. Right. And that's my thought.
I agree. I think we should expedite committee these. And I like the payment. I said that at the beginning. I thought we should use a significant amount of this.
Yeah. And I can't think of another bill that's gonna be coming in that's big enough to.
Right.
To use the rest.
Use it
Right.
quickly.
Having said that, I think then we ought to, that
Pay the
balance
extra.
due on the AED, what is it? It's
It's for the lift.
lift, it's for the lift.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the
I'd
rest
say
is the
just
grant, right?
just take it out of the ARPA funds.
Yeah,
I'm even thinking, well, no,
I mean, we have it, so.
yeah,
So take the
the
seven that was taken out of.
take the 7 out of the ambulance savings, but whatever the difference is, take it out of it.
Okay.
I mean, it's all kind of, I don't want to use the word creative accounting, but. Yeah.
Be responsible with your money, Bill.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really all I want
Yeah,
to talk
I
about tonight on
agree.
that.
I
So,
agree.
Okay.
Do we probably should vote on that. On the paving.
Yeah, so, okay, so I would make a motion that any balance, any balance in the AED or in the ARPA funds be used to offset paving costs.
I
Okay,
can second that.
yeah, and then we'll need to earmark what that is in our minds, and then when things come up, we can use surplus of that. Assuming
It'd
the
be about
town,
11,000.
assuming the town continues to give us permission to use surplus. Correct. Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, wow. Our, consider South Thomason, liquor permitting policy.
John,
Yes,
sorry, is it possible that it's that's the celebration?
sure. I didn't know you were here for that.
Yes.
You should have spoke up.
Oh, well, I will try to be polite, I will.
Yeah, well, sorry about that, I didn't
No, no,
realize.
no, I just,
Yes, F.
Yeah.
Discussion regarding 175th, basically, I asked to have this put on the agenda because I went to a historical society function, the Four Boys, which was
Mhm.
great, by the way. And a couple of folks from the Historical Society asked me if the town had any plans for the 175th celebration, and I basically said, not that I'm aware of. And I didn't know, if the community center was planning anything or not, and I really didn't know. I did know we hadn't discussed it.
No.
I can't remember who it was. Somebody asked me, I guess it was Beverly St. Clair, said that there had been an idea being kicked around about having a birthday cake on the lawn at the Historical Society, and wanted to know if the selectmen would be interested in, select persons, sorry, would be interested in participating and serving cake to folks. Well, that really appealed to me.
What's the date? What date is it?
And I don't remember the date, so.
it's in August, it's the weekend of Heritage Day, we go into the second weekend of August. And what we're proposing for the town is on Saturday. We looked into having a jazz band come, if we could get some help from the town to pay for it. Have them come play for an hour, we'll have a canopy, my son is gonna make the cakes. And have the select board come and cut the cakes and just to celebrate the anniversary. Other than helping us with the band, which would be $200 to $300, that's it.
I'd rather give you the $200 to $300 and serve the cake.
Well, then you don't get to eat it. Mike's making it, my son, so we'll take care of that. So, and then on Sunday would be our usual Heritage Day. And it's just an opportunity to have the visibility for the whole community. We've had such good response having the schoolhouse open on Saturdays. We may do it two days a week now. We just offers a community activity. So that's our proposal, since you don't have any plans, just to see what you're feeling about getting help with paying for the band.
Have you decided on a time?
Not really. It'd probably be like, I think the band was not gonna be available till like after 2 or 3, something in
So
there.
in the late afternoon.
Late afternoon, yeah.
Like a tea. It's gonna be like a tea.
I'm off the golf course.
I don't want to.
No, you can't.
Did you say it's Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday for that. Yeah, Sunday is our usual Heritage Day.
And is that 10 to 2? So
No, the Heritage Day, is it usually noon? 12 to 4. Yeah. 12 to 4, and we have the community band that comes and plays on the little thing, so this would be a weekend of music, but to celebrate the end. Yeah, we thought it would be great to tie it all in together, with the history and the.
So how much money do you need for the band?
It'd be $200 to $300 if I could finagle them. It's the jazz band, Marlene Hall, with the jazz band.
So you don't have a fixed number then?
No, it's somewhere in that range. It depends on how many people in the band are going to be available. I think determines. No, she's still looking into who's going to be available.
So, obviously, we did budget for that, not that it's a huge sum. We could use opera.
that would be
Is that a stretch?
I don't know if we can.
Yeah, that could end up in the New York Times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abuse of opera.
This has been fun.
Then do you think we could get folks, it's not a lot of money, if we get folks to donate? If we put a little solicitation out, I'll donate $50.
Me too.
It doesn't have to be decided tonight, but it's to let.
Well, you probably want to book it then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, there's.
I think we can raise the money,
Me too.
Hmm?
Me too.
Okay.
and you guys can maybe help us raise it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. well,
Yeah, I mean, with your newsletter, Terry can put something out and.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take care of all the publicity and, you know, all you have to do is show up and cut the cake and eat it.
That's the rest of
Yeah,
it.
and listen to the music, okay?
Okay, good. Are you gonna have on the rock button indicator?
No, the most we're gonna get is a diet.
Well,
And water.
We talk about a bad intersection for that.
Okay, I don't know that we need to vote on this, so Terry, we
Write
can,
something out. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
okay.
Put a
okay,
jar on the counter.
huh?
I'll put a jar on the counter.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Put one on the gig store
If you
counter.
throw up, you guys can get 2 pieces of cake.
And I apologize, I had no idea that's why you were here, and I usually
I
ask
know
when.
you, yeah, I thought you saw us come.
Well, I did, but I didn't know you were here for that, I thought you were out for the entertainment.
I'm gonna leave you to the fun and festivities.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Where were we?
uh,
Liquor committee, which really is a catering, but that's okay. Are we set with this? So it says state of Maine, Bureau of Alcohol, Beverage and Lager requires municipal offices to approve applications for catered functions when alcohol will be served. But Title 28A, Section 1076, Subsection 7D grants authority for municipal approval without public notice. But to enhance transparency, the select board will normally use this policy to process applications. The first time a qualified catering organization submits an application, the application will be included on the agenda of the next regular meeting of the select board. Should meeting be capitalized? Not that I'm getting picky, but. Which has not yet been finalized and posted. So in other words, you gotta have it in prior to Thursday or whenever it's posted. Okay. Posting the agenda provides public notice and the select board will publicly review the application before approving. Should we say, or disapproving?
good point. Before acting.
Acting.
No, approving / disapproving, I think.
Okay.
That's probably better.
And probably not even say signing, just say the application. Right. Subsequent applications from the same catering organization may be reviewed and signed by the town administrator if there is no request for from the public or other public review, and there's been no complaints or violations against the applicants. I think that covers it. Hmm?
I think so.
Any comments, Sue?
No,
So
You have anything you want to add to that? I mean, any comments on that or?
I was wondering if you could simplify it. I don't really understand. Does it mean, like, what's the process?
Well, the first time an organization comes in, like last meeting, we had an organization that they were out of Ogunquit or something, they'd never applied for a catering permit here. So if that had happened, and then this new policy, Kerry couldn't approve it, they would have to come
Oh,
to us. And then subsequent applications from that lady, I can't remember the name of her business, could be approved. So, but Jeff's right, in all practicality, this almost applies to you.
right.
Because we get very few of these, although we seem to be getting more.
I was gonna say you may get more though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because now we have the O'Dones
Yeah,
Event Center. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wedding venue and event center too, just down the road. So they may have some come in. So, so that's basically it. And then as long as things go smoothly, Terry can just sign off on it. But if she feels like there's been some complaints or something, she has the right to bump it back to us. Kind of what happened to us. So,
thank you for clarifying.
we good?
Yep.
Is there a motion?
I move we approve it as amended.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. And Terry, thank you for willing to take this on.
Thank you very much for
Okay. We did Brad Choi, MDOT construction over limit permit agreement. I did talk to the gentleman, I explained to them that we had just paved. We had just paved Village Road, and he reminded me, this is not, he says, well, we're not asking for permission to park our trucks there, we're only at regular trucks, we're asking for permission to park overweight limits there, and he says, and I don't foresee any in here, he says, but maybe you would like to ask us not to park our trucks there when we do this project. And I said, yes, we would like to do that. So he was very cooperative. I recommend we sign it. I don't think, he doesn't think there's gonna be any overweight. Basically, it's like the operation they did out here on 73 with the pug mill. They they laid down that what do you call it, that remixed asphalt, and then they went over the top, and then he said it's not going to involve heavy cranes or stuff. So I recommend we approve it, and then I will ask them to, if they stage their trucks and stuff, maybe stage them up Island Road or something, and then they'd have to come around the corner instead of right on Village Road. And he said it may not even get done in the fall, which by that time it'd be pretty
set. and
pretty
won't
set
be
anyway,
hot.
so, yeah,
yeah.
it won't be as hot, right?
Yeah.
So with
moved.
that. Okay, Sue?
Yes.
No, second,
Oh,
he said so moved.
oh, okay, yes, I have second that.
Second, executing it, further discussion, all those in favor? And I will say that process they did on 73 really worked, and that has held up nicely. It really,
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
But for that place up by,
well, that's off the road.
I know,
Yeah.
but that's bad again.
Well, it's not as bad as the one on Buttermilk, where it's undermining the road.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I sent Paul Stilton a picture of it, an email. He said, we're trying, we got washouts everywhere. So, but he said, thanks for sending it, so. Why did I put my agenda down here? Are we done?
Close.
We have some adjustments.
We have a library donation.
Yes,
We
we have
we got
cemetery donation.
We got our monthly reports. Okay, consider accepting a donation from cemetery maintenance.
I'm sorry, I said library, that's just automatic.
Is this and no strings on this or anything, just in
No,
general?
Sandy does this every year.
Okay. There's a motion to accept.
I make a motion that we accept the donation from Sandra Williams for the cemetery maintenance.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, no appointments? Okay, Ed Modell's email to Jeff, which he forwarded to us regarding junk. I guess junkie yards or storage of improper storage of waste and junk. Jeff, you want to introduce this a little bit, or?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Ed was on the ordinance review committee with me when we were asked to review the original draft of the junkyard ordinance. And Ed thought that maybe a kindler, gentler way of doing it is to have a group of volunteers who are willing to go onto people's properties and clean up junkyards. And he was going to add meat to that process, but he ended up getting tied up, and so nothing has moved on that at all. So the other day he asked again, is this something I'm able to start more effort on this? And is it something the town is willing to look at? He didn't approach the town other than including Terry on it. I don't know if he was talking primarily to me or what his drive was. So I asked him, I said, if you want the town to participate in this, you probably ought to come to the select board and talk to us about it, and what your idea was. But some of his questions were, can I get a group of people to go on people's property without their permission and clean their yards up? And I said, no. Short answer, no. I mean, there is a possibility that if we go through some legal steps, that there might be a time when we would have somebody go in and
We being the town.
be in the town, correct? I said, I wouldn't want anybody going onto anybody's property without permission to clean up what they perceive as junkyard. So I basically kicked the can with him. But I do think that he's probably gonna come back, because he raised it a few years ago and then now is raising it again. I think if we find we're not as successful with our new ordinance and the CEO's hardline compliance steps that she's taken, then it may be something we want to look at and see if we can find a group of volunteers who, but I think we're steps away from that at this point.
Would they be covered under any insurance whatsoever?
Well, they're volunteers.
If
for
they're
the town,
volunteers,
but that involves the town. And that, I think there's a lot of issues here, but not the least of which, I think you're gonna have a hard time finding volunteers for this.
Well,
But-
I do too.
But,
Yes,
but I mean, we're, right now, Terry is literally, and I said, why don't you hold off until tomorrow night? I think yesterday or today, she was gonna send out formal warning notices.
Still working on them.
Okay, well, you were about to pull the trigger on 10 properties, which she sort of deemed as the 10 most egregious that have taken no action in response to the letter that we issued in the fall. She was, and I said, well, maybe you better wait until we have discussion tonight. So, and I mean, I feel like we keep putting this off and off because Terry gets hung up with something. I feel like some neighbors of some of these yards are anxious for us to act.
right, I agree.
And are questioning why we're not. And so I don't want to sidetrack that.
I agree.
And also, I don't think, I really struggle with the concept of town, if the town got involved with any money in here, that, why are you cleaning my yard up there?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Do I have to have a junky yard
Before you come in and clean, yeah. Now, I agree there are exceptions. I mean, we had a total rat infested property that was destroying the neighborhood or something. The town might have to take action, but then again, there's a way to recover those costs.
Correct.
Then you get into, I know, like in Rockland, I mean, I think that the city cleaned up a property and it's getting right back the way that it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Because unless somebody continues to go in and clean it,
Yeah,
I mean, people that have yards like that tend to keep doing that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I really, even if Ed came here, I just conceptually, I don't have a lot of interest in this.
Well, that's kind of, if you read my email to him, I was pretty blunt along those lines that
I did.
and I do, the only way I think that his idea has any traction at all is if somebody who gets a letter from Terry says, I need help and I would like somebody, and then and if he had a group of people that were willing to help, then we could get the property owner to talk to Ed to facilitate that. And then if the town's not involved other than matching them up, which is
Well, then that's a private charity.
correct.
And do what you want to do.
Right, that's exactly right. So again, I still think the town's involvement, other than facilitating between the two, is about all that I think we should be involved in. But the reality is that we have a whole bunch of programs that ask people to tell us your needs, and we might be able to fulfill some of those needs. And we get hardly any takers on it. Even the ambulance, tell us you can't afford the ambulance cost. And
Fill out
we
this
might have
form
money
and
for
we'll
it.
take
Yeah,
care of
and
it.
we-
And they no. So have somebody who has a junky yard, first they have to recognize that their yard is junky. And that's a step. And then they have to say, I can't handle it myself, and that's a step. And then they have to say, I need somebody, and so those are 3 big steps for people to go
And then
through.
you're gonna find some people that are willing to do it, or raise money to hire someone to do it.
Correct. Yeah,
So
so
it might be easier than getting.
then getting volunteers, yeah, I agree. So
So
again,
my feeling at this point is you responded to him, let's see if he comes back to us, but I don't think it should sidetrack where Dakota.
I agree 100%.
Okay, right. Okay. More adjustments, okay, I received, a letter from, an email from Candace Smith, which is not that one, that's it. Which I forwarded to you and also responded. It's not that one either. It's somewhere here. Right here. Basically, Candace Smith has requested that 2 unnamed committee members be removed for cause from from one of the town committees. I responded immediately, and I responded to her that removal for cause was not something that was going to happen immediately, because there was a process involved, and even if the board wanted to go that route, there was a process involved. So I took the liberty to reach out to Christian, and she is available between 7:30 and 8:30 tonight, which is right now.
Yep.
So I asked that the agenda be adjusted as well to have a possible executive session to explore this matter, and I also think it now winds into some of the public comment we heard earlier tonight as well. So the timing, I think, is good on that. So is there a motion? Are we done with everything other than executives?
Mhm.
We're all set with meetings.
I
Do
think
we
so.
want to schedule a meeting for July after the town meeting? For appointments and stuff, because people get busy in July. At least the first one, and maybe we can even get away with one in July.
Can we target the 18th? Can we go that way?
There's 4 or 5 days I'm away. But it's not the 18th. That's a third, that's okay with Lions?
Yes, because they're only meeting once, and they're not gonna meet on the 4th, so they'll
No.
meet on the 11th.
Okay,
So
so
the
I can make the 18th, and we'll try to hold it to 1.
I think that's a good idea.
Terry, that work for you, or you, I know you're away, and
I'll be back the 17th.
yay. And when, so we'll have to get an agenda, you gone,
I'm going the 15th to the 17th, so I'm gonna get an agenda. up.
okay,
That's all.
Yeah.
okay. Why don't we, and then we'll, and maybe July 18th, we can
She
schedule a
misses the
meeting.
dog.
Well, maybe on the 6th.
Do you really?
On the 6th, we'll have to execute the warrant.
Yes.
Yes.
When is she back?
Oh, I just get.
So, it looks like the only thing left is 3 possible executive sessions, depending on how we vote. One is for a discussion of a possible land acquisition, another is a personnel matter. And the third is the adjustment of discussing a legal matter. And Terry, if you would call Kristen or text her. Or I can,
So don't.
I do. Is there a motion to enter, because I don't have the. I think we should deal with her first, because she.
Yes, I
Sounds good, yeah. Is there a motion to enter executive session for whatever the legal site is?
Right on your agenda,
Huh?
isn't that on your agenda?
Not legal, is it?
6A.
E. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not legal, that's personnel, wasn't it? Or-
Yeah, 405 E for consultation with our attorney.
Will you make that a motion, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Will you make that a second?
I will second that.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. So we entered executive session at about 20 of 8.
Okay, hold on. Let me just gonna take you out of YouTube.